Hello and welcome. Welcome to our first episode. Three tech stories, two actually happened, one is completely made up. The catch? They're all written the same way, so you can't go by just how it sounds. You have to go by what feels off. Let's go. My name is Julianne Duffy.
My name is Michael Duffy.
That was your next turn.
Oh, I was supposed to introduce myself.
And then set the game up.
Oh.
You literally have two spots.
As we go,
You have two
as
turns.
I'm a great actor, as we go through each story, think about two things: real or fake, and who's actually in the wrong here. No right answers, just gut reactions. Let's get into it.
Perfect. Let's go into our first story. And I have an image here for us. We're going to dive right into he haunted his own apartment. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole? Smart home revenge. Any thoughts on that title?
Smart home technology. It's scary. Can be very scary, especially with those items returned to Amazon and Amazon just resends them out. Have they been reprogrammed? We don't know.
Well, let's find out. Let's find out what happened with the Am I the asshole? Smart home revenge. Okay, here's the situation. I live with a roommate. Things have been tense for a while, nothing explosive, just that slow build of small things that never get resolved. Here's the thing though, I set up all the tech in the apartment, smart lights, speakers, plugs, all of it, and it runs through my phone. My roommate uses it, but I control it. We had another argument one night. Nothing major, just one of those unresolved ones that end with someone leaving the room. And while I was out, I opened up the app. At first, it was small. Lights off, lights on, color changes. He texts me asking if I was doing it. I said no. It then escalated. Lights switching between rooms, music turning on randomly, devices going on and on pattern. Nothing staying consistent for more than a few seconds. At one point, I even killed everything completely. Total darkness, then flipped it all back on at once. He called, sounding confused, asked if something was wrong with the system. I told him it must be glitching. I didn't tell him it was me. At that time, I thought it was funny. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I just used what I had. But now he's saying I crossed the line. That it felt creepy. And that it didn't feel like a prank. It felt like being messed with inside his own home. So, am I the asshole? No comment on that.
Dramatic silence. That stuff's not creepy whatsoever, the smart home stuff. So,
But was this funny? What, or is it really dark?
well, both. This is the challenge. It's both. Because if you've got the control, you think you're funny, but you likely also know you're possibly crossing that line, right?
Well,
So
it is. It's a fine line, right? Because you are messing with the person's mind, and then it's like then you think of poltergeists, ghosts, right? And all of that type of stuff. You know, I guess after this, like in the hindsight, would you feel unsafe with your roommate after? Like, especially if you found it after and he's like, okay, yeah, I was messing with you because you had this argument. Would you feel unsafe if that like in that scenario?
yeah, because I would be if I knew that it was the roommate do it. I'd be like, okay, let's just get. That's my fine line. I was like, I wouldn't want anybody else to have control over that stuff because, of course, they then can really they can subject you to this type of like psychological terror, right? Because realistically,
Well, I
yeah,
guess it comes up to what point does the prank become control, right? Where it was a prank, but it comes to control. Was it because he lied to his roommate when his roommate first asked if it was him, just to just to mess with his roommate? But at the same time, in my mind, I'm like, I didn't resort to violence. I didn't kick you out. I didn't burn down the place because you're
so
driving me crazy.
is that your justification that you're driving me crazy, but rather than dealing with it, I've got control over the smart home stuff, so I'm just going to do that electronic voodoo and then just deny that it was me, so the person is like super paranoid.
Well, it actually it reminds me of constructive dismissal. So when I worked in corporate, as you would know, I had a situation when I was my sister's in HR and I explained it and she said it sounded like constructive dismissal, where essentially your boss doesn't fire you, but starts to make your life miserable so you want to quit. So in my mind, I'm like, is this to make his life miserable that this roommate would decide to move out because you don't know when your roommate's going to mess with you, right? So is this like a way to start making it uncomfortable for them to be roommates?
Constructive uneasiness and constructive, I don't feel everybody's watching me. Um, okay. Yeah, I get it because we've all your example of constructive dismissal. I think all of us have had certain situations where we're like told one thing, something's different in no, I'm not saying in personal life, but definitely like when you're working for somebody and you're like, wait a minute, like I had that before where I agreed to something and that is and at the end result, I'm like, I would have agreed to it if I knew this outcome was going to be this outcome. I agreed to it expecting the outcome we all agreed to, and
Yeah.
then you do something, and then it's like, oh well, so and so this, and you're just like, well, wait a minute, this is completely not my experience that I had with this situation. So
Well, it makes me wonder in this situation, has the roommate done something kind of controlling before? Right? Or is this just finally like that the straw that broke the camel's back? But I guess overall, if this happened to you, are you laughing or are you moving out, Mike?
do you find a way to pay them back, or do you just say, I'm not going to play this game, and do you move out?
What's your verdict?
I would. It's tough. Even though I may look like I love technology and people tell me I love tech, I, I, I would find my way. I may pay them back. I'd find a way out. I'd move out with seeing if I could do payback. Because
Oh, you're doing both. You're doing payback and you're
well,
moving
no,
out.
no, no. I'm just
You know what?
saying. I think it's an. I understand why that person would do that. Why they
Yeah.
would like play with that person's mind. I know it's possible with smart home stuff because there is horror stories of you know that stuff all over the internet,
Oh, and
and
getting hacked, getting
and
any of your
I'm
phone
somebody
smart
who
technology
don't
hacked, right?
that I may I lim I'm like I don't have a Amazon Echo. The stuff that like I already assume things are spying on me based on conversations and seeing an ad 20 seconds later. I don't purposely choose to be around anything that can control my lights and my I may have agreed to that stuff at one point in my life, and I'm like, it's too much of this stuff, the ghost, the the
The
polter
haunting of the whole
the
apartment.
the electronic, because
So your verdict, you're gonna see if you can pay him back and you're moving out, right?
exactly, exactly.
I'm gonna say I think it's hilarious. Now, I'm thinking, yeah, he's the asshole, but I would do the exact same thing. At least I didn't there was no more murdering going on, so you lived another day. So you should be happy you survived this argument. So, I would and then, however, if I was a roommate and this happened to me, I would probably be like, "If I probably need to move out. I think this is a sign." So, I do think he's the
How
asshole, but I think it's an enjoyable asshole experience and
how
hilarious.
how long do you think it would take you if that happened to you? How long would you think it would take for you to clue in it was definitely your roommate?
Well, I that's what I wonder. I do wonder if the roommate knew that the other roommate had the full control of it, because asking and then being lied to, I feel like I would have already known when they lied and said it wasn't them, especially if you've never had a glitch like that. Or my next thing would be either it's the roommate lying to me or second, our system's been hacked. Those would be the 2 things. And then once I did get confirmation, because clearly through the story, the roommate got confirmation that he did do it and was, messing with the roommate. So, it's difficult, but the verdict on Reddit was they leaned towards he was the asshole, but it wasn't unanimous. So it does go beyond a prank, but to make somebody feel unstable in their homes, but then on the not the asshole, it is petty, wasn't harmful, no one got hurt, right? Like I said, nobody's murdered that night, nobody got hurt. So it was, there was definitely a little more towards the am I an asshole than the not. But then there was a lot of people that were saying everyone sucks here. So that's the ESH, that everyone sucks here. You both just avoided the real problem, so everyone sucks. And so, and fair enough, that's probably the best version is you all just simultaneously suck because really it got to the point where you're doing petty haunting of your home because you guys can't work out your issues, right?
I feel like I'm being haunted because it felt like you just screamed at me, and it's like I
Yeah,
was
I'm
like
screaming at you.
I was like, "Where's this voice coming from? Are we hacked on this live stream talking about am I the asshole?" Okay.
Well, am I the asshole because I'm talking too loud?
I don't know, it was just this weird it was like, "Okay, we'll see if it's in the
Okay, well, there
recording.
you go.
We'll see if it's in the recording," because it picked up on my side. I was like, "Okay, now I'm officially creeped out." So,
What was I suddenly way louder?
maybe too loud for, internet streaming, maybe too
For
loud.
interest, okay, I will be mindful of that. Okay, let's continue. Let's go to story number 2. So keep that in mind. We're still doing the 2 truths and a lie, so one of these stories is not the truth. So we'll continue and you can decide because at the end, we're gonna tell you guys which one is actually made up. So let's continue. We are on story number 2, the accidental live stream. Okay? Ready for this one, Mike?
Oh, 100%.
Am I the asshole for the accidental live stream? All right, next one. I feel sick even writing this. I was home, stressed, needed to vent. So I opened my phone, hit what I thought was record, and just started talking. No filters, saying things I would never say out loud to anyone. I wasn't watching the screen. I just set the phone down and kept going. A few minutes in, I noticed comments appearing. At first, I didn't process it. Then more came in. "You're live. I don't think you know you're live right now." And when it clicked, I looked at the screen, viewer count, live indicator, everything I just said was completely public. Sometimes I wish, side note, when I went live stream, I had that many people come and watch me. I ended it immediately, but it was already too late. People saw it, some of them recorded it. Now it's out there, and I'm getting reactions to things I never meant for anyone to hear. So, am I the asshole for what I said, even though I thought I was alone?
It would've I don't think so because even if I those words are eventually gonna come out, whether or not you were, accidentally live streaming or had a couple drinks out in public with those people, it's eventually going to come out because you are as top of mind and you were already going to record those thoughts into your phone, so your mind's on the I don't think you're an asshole if you're making your thoughts public. The people, you know.
Well, it was an honest mistake, right? Like, so this user wasn't planning on doing that, right? So it wasn't like they were purposely trying to be really mean to people, but clearly, I do agree that there is something behind that that at some point would probably still come out or just continue adding to the baggage of the issues that this person was ranting about. You know, I guess are private thoughts fair game once they go public though?
Well, they are fair game when they go public because whoever you're talking about is going to have an opinion. Either they're like, "Hey, thanks for letting me know what you think about me," or they may be embarrassed about what you're complaining about because they already know that they're in the wrong. But until it's actually brought up to life, communication is the number one thing, and usually, yeah, it's
Well, it's interesting because it's like, could this happen to you? Straight up, it could definitely happen, especially with
I
how
I
many
I
times.
I- I've told you the incidences where it happened to me early on technology where since I'm a consultant and I have to refer back to like send job reports out and how annoyed I will get with companies I'm dealing with or their tech support. And I've slipped up before where I sent them an email and they're like, "Why did you send us such a such an upset email?" And I'm like, "What did I send to you?" And then I go look at it, and in horror, I called everybody in that business like a effing moron, and it's like, I was like, "What? I didn't use those words." And I'm like, I'm like, was I so upset that back on the BlackBerry days, I had texted out, like, I composed an email, and the words were like, I'm like, was like, it's happened to me, and I've been fired from consulting jobs when I call everybody in a certain business morons because my time took so, our solution took so long because of their people we were dealing with, and I
Oh,
am
yep, yep,
yeah, so
that's
it's
the same,
happened to me. It has
yep.
literally happened, not live streaming, but in an email blast, and me getting fired as a consultant over it. So
Hey, me too, that happened to me too. I thought I was commenting to Dell as an anonymous and called them all an inappropriate word after my experience, which ended up I did not realize it did not go anonymous, and I
so
I I surrendered my position
so
at that
it
point.
so it happened. So that's like we both have these incidences where it happened, and don't you feel better for voicing your complaint, even though
It sucked. It sucked to be caught out. I agree. It sucked a lot to be
you know
called
what?
out, but that was how I felt, and that was how you felt.
And if it was live streamed, I'm hoping somebody did record it and make some amazing memes out of it.
I hope so too. I do too. I get
So, I don't think they're an asshole because they whatever in the universe God wanted them to have closure, so live streaming was turned on and their feelings went out.
their feelings
And
went up. They couldn't hide them
now they can
anymore.
move. Now that baggage is out, so of course they may have to deal with upset relationships based on that. But hey, they got their feelings out, and they should at least feel better at some point because that's no longer holding them back.
Exactly. It's not unspoken anymore, right? And in fairness, like, you called them not an asshole. I'm gonna say they are an asshole because you did say them, but that doesn't make you a true deep asshole.
Um,
Embrace your assholeness and be okay with being truthful about how much of an asshole you are or what you think about.
okay,
The verdict was mostly not an asshole. Honest mistake, platforms design is part of the problem was a lot of the sentiment in the messages. There was a few people that did do softly that they were the asshole. You said those things kind of like what I said, the mic just caught it. And then there was some people that were just like, it's just a really unfortunate situation with the not the asshole, just kind of unfortunate because there is a lot of technology that how many times you button mash or something and something opens and you're like, why was this playing? Or how did I text somebody in my pocket? Right. And technology does make it really easy to have things like this happen for sure. Right.
100%.
Okay. You ready for the third story?
I'm ready for story number 3.
Okay, so if you're watching, keep it in mind, we're done down 2 stories, we're going to our 3rd. One of these is not the truth. One of these stories is not real. So you guys have to guess once we're done story number 3. So let's bring up my screen for that. Go. And our next one, she wasn't even talking to him. Am I the asshole? AI said it better. Okay, last story. I've been with my partner for about 2 years. Things are good, but we've always struggled to communicate during conflicts. It gets messy fast. A few months ago, I started noticing something different about my partner's texts. Not dramatically different, they were just smoother. Like during arguments, their messages would suddenly be calm, structured, and making their points very clearly. I actually appreciated it at first. I thought they were just putting in more effort. But then I started noticing something was a little off. In person, they were still the same, interrupting, losing their train of thought, getting frustrated, especially when we'd have those conversations. Over text, it was like they were a completely different person. So one night we had a disagreement, and their response was so composed and perfectly worded. So obviously, they're doing this through the text. I had to screenshot it. A couple days later, I brought it up in conversation, referencing something they had specifically said in this disagreement. They looked confused, like they hadn't even sent the message. I showed them the screenshot and asked them directly what was going on. At first, they said nothing had changed, and then they admitted they'd been using AI to help write the messages. Not all of them, but the important ones. And I just sat there. I didn't even know what to say. Part of me gets it, but another part of me feels like I've been having a relationship at least partially with a version of them that doesn't actually exist. If they didn't even read the messages they're sending, who is the relationship actually with? Now, every text I get, I'm reading it differently, wondering if it's really them. So, am I the asshole for not being able to let it go? What do you think, Mike?
Oh, that's heavy because that reflects in everybody's day-to-day operations now in 2026 because am I the
Well,
asshole for
being as a side note for those viewers, I was talking about this week that the AI 53% of the population already adapted and started using AI within 3 years. It is the fastest growing technologies out of any technological advance we've had. There's none that's been as fast of a rollout as AI. So it really has been integrated into our lives, right?
Agreed, and I notice because I like to know humans and have, face-to-face or telephone or text message conversations with them, and then I'll see responses that are on social media, and I'm like, "That response does not seem like it's the same person." Which then you're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, they've used AI to automate their messages." So if they're using AI to automate their Facebook replies, they're probably using AI to write emails. So are you actually having a conversation with a relationship with the human, or is everything because if you go to bring something up with that human, are they gonna be do they know all the AI responses they send out?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't even know if they're an asshole or not because I understand, you know, from life experience that arguments go on forever sometimes because you don't really know how to respond and okay, great response, and it's like the worst response for the other person. You're like, hey, wait a minute, how am I digging this hole? So of course, the person's like, hey, I'm just going to voice dictate to whatever AI, and it's going to output something and copy and paste it just to see if they can resolve the argument quicker. So they're like, okay, I need it. I think my answer is I don't think I actually can. AI did say it better. Of course, AI. Are you not the asshole for you're just that this person is not an asshole for not being able to let it go. They're just expecting no AI interference in their communication and their relationship with that person. And unfortunately, we've all been trained to just type it into AI and send it a response.
That's true, right? Because but I guess my question with that trust, right? Can you keep trusting somebody after it? Like, and it's for you're paranoid now, right? Because you're like, did this well, especially when they didn't even read it and seemed confused when you're referencing it. So it's like we've seen this. We have seen this with AI generated things where people are promoting their business, but then there's like a wrong email address, right? And
And
then they're putting
public,
that out to the
and you
world.
like you literally posted it knowing your email address is wrong, or was this just automation? And if it's automation, then it's like even like run away from that person even quicker.
Well, exactly, and so then you're going, "Well, this person feeling this insecurity," it really
Because
is,
I'm like,
where
because
are the
I'm
other
gonna say,
gaps? What else
you
is
know,
this person hiding?
the person generating that well, so I'm like, how did they generate that response and not know what they copy and pasted into the text messaging app?
You know how people are. They're just like cut and paste, cut and paste. It's like, how do you make an image and not even see that your email address is wrong? Like, you didn't even look at that, right?
That's called
So
well, that I yes.
so your verdict is this person is not an asshole for having a struggle to let go of this. That's what your opinion is?
No, because I understand I'm a human who has communications with other humans before AI existed. So I understand that um I don't like I know people make mistakes or people assume one thing when it's like I understand where people go wrong all the time and then it's just amplified by using AI.
Well,
So
exactly.
I don't
I
think they're an asshole for not being able to let it go, but I don't think the person using the AI is an asshole for they just should have an idea of what messages they actually sent. So it's like, yeah, hey, I agree. I understand we're gonna have arguments, and I understand that those arguments waste a lot of time. How do I need to communicate with you to reduce it? Even though, so, but I run into people using ChatGPT all the time for email responses, and I don't know if they're actually reading those email responses before they send it out. Because I've
ex
seen weird stuff. I get weird stuff from people, and I'm like, "Hey, did you send this to me?" "Oh, yeah, it's like it's built into our CRM," and it's like, "But this doesn't even sound like you." So, it's just like throws me off, and I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Are they actually caring about the customers or caring about the relationship?"
exactly, whether it's the
It's
customer
one
or
thing for AI to take your 3 paragraphs of rambling and turn it into 3 precise sentences.
yeah.
You would have still read that and pasted it, or this person's like, "No, just have a."
Well, when you start getting a process, then well, even with myself, I've totally found that I'll start going through and be like, "Okay, I've made this," and then I'm going and re-looking at stuff I've made with AI, and then realizing, "Oh crap, I didn't see this, or I didn't see this," because I just kinda put it out,
Take
but I
control.
didn't publish it because I went to go make sure I did my due diligence first, so I'm learning that step. However, if you're doing it all the time and you're just like, "Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good," and you're not even really recognizing it, right?
Well, it's like making a mistake. It's like using something, you're like, "Hey, that worked well," and then looking at the aftermath, you're like, "Wait a minute, I was tricked," because it's technology, and you think something should work a certain way, and then 24 hours you're like, "Well, it worked, except it did a bunch of stuff I didn't want it to do and wasted a whole bunch of resources," right?
Exactly, exactly.
So it's
Well, the verdict so your verdict is they're not the asshole and neither is the other person, but it doesn't mean that that other person shouldn't be necessarily making sure he knows or she, whatever this partner is, what they're actually communicating. Like if you're going to use technology, like be aware of what you're texting to people, what you're emailing to people. Like do the minimum and read it before you send it so you don't look like an a-hole when somebody asks you about something you sent them, right? And you have no idea what they're talking about, right? So
exactly.
that's my opinion. Your opinion, they're not the asshole as well. Again, this one was kind of split, but it was definitely leaning to they're not the asshole because they are trying and they just wanted to communicate without messing up. So, you're not the asshole, but it is a mismatch. So it really is more like it came back with everyone kind of sucks because you're really not communicating well. That came up quite a bit in there was really that kind of both of you kind of suck because clearly you need to be able to communicate clearly that the one partner how did it quote it? I'm just summarizing up the quote because it says it a whole bunch here. That the one partner is not like you need to know how you're communicating, right? So you're not an asshole for feeling like something's off because something is off. However, you're both kind of suck because this is clearly something that you guys need to deal with.
If you don't know what your AI is sending, that's a massive red flag. Let's just put it out there because
Exactly.
we know people
Exactly.
are using this stuff, but you can sense when things are off, and
Okay.
you can just sense it, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, so we're ready for the final guess? Three
We are
stories
like I'm gonna say, what's your final guess, Mike?
on the stories.
Yeah. Which one do you and then I'll do the whole little beat and I will
Which
reveal our fake
one? Oh
story.
my god, which one's made up? I
And
think
while Mike is contemplating, please put in your comments, put in your guess. Was it story number 1 about the haunted, technology, the haunted home system? Number 2, which was about the, oh my god, I've already forgotten my
live
stories.
stream, live
Yeah, there we
stream.
go, live streams, yeah, and then this one. There we go,
You
good
know
thing.
what? I'm gonna say so one of them's real, the other two are made up, right?
No, 2 are real, 1 is made
2
up.
are real. Okay, I'm not even 2 are real. I
Which
think
one is the lie? Which one did I help make up? So
which
which
one's a
one of these is
lie?
not
I ba based
real
on what I
actual story?
based on what I've seen with people sharing this stuff on the internet, I'm gonna say the lie is story 3, the AI one.
Oh, you're doubling down on number 3?
I just because I know the live stream I know story 2 is gonna be real because I've seen this before. I yes, I
You're
that is
going with
my
guess? Okay,
that's my
okay,
guess.
let's bring it up. This is my drum roll. And the lie is you're right, Mike. Oops. It didn't even show. There. I said it too quick. Why am I not there we go. There we go. The fake story was 3. AI said it better. However, it is extremely convincing that this could be a true story. Why? Because we know technology is becoming that way, that people aren't actually using their own words anymore, right? We're definitely seeing people rely on AI for communication
I
now,
just
right?
I just haven't seen AI integrated into texting app, but that may not they may exist. I'm just, there's so many of them that I'm like, "Wait a minute, now I'm gonna go check." Double like, 'cause, like, you'd have to be copy and pasting that output. So,
So that was the first
that's the only thing that threw me off, and I didn't know because Julie found these stories, so I didn't know, but it's like, "Wait a minute." But it's that's
no,
good.
it's a very believable still, right? Because we do know how much everyone is using it, right? What makes it land is that it is hard to dismiss, like, if because there is so much AI advancement. I'm sure there probably is an AI that works with texting or at least on an Android or some system, right? And, I don't even know if WhatsApp has some ability with that where you're just messaging back and forth and then there's an AI bot in there, right? So I wouldn't doubt in the future that some story like this would be what we will see.
I'm getting interrupted right now, so
Oh, I hear you gotta guess.
there's a
So
ghost coming in through the door.
nice, nice. So, while we finish it off with the guest here, that is episode 1 of Too Real. So if we got you or not, please subscribe. So we are gonna come and do this each week. We're gonna cover 3 technology-based type of "Am I the Asshole" stories, and one of them is gonna be fabricated, and we're gonna go through, are they the asshole? What does this look like? And decide if they are the asshole or not, and guess which of these stories has been fabricated. So do subscribe so you can stay up to date. We are gonna be live again. I will bring this up. We will be live next Sunday, same time at 7 p.m. Eastern. We also have our regular weekly class, YouTube University, Saturdays at 9 a.m., where we talk about getting out, being seen, and making content so people know you exist.
Exactly.
Mhm. So, on anything, do you have any last thoughts for this
I'm
first
I'm looking for I'm looking forward to it because, these stories are really close hard to it's hard to get it they hit so close, and close to home because this stuff exists, and everybody has their own interpretation of if somebody's an asshole or not, right? So, but
well,
these were really
exactly.
good. I
And it's difficult with things like the whole haunting, haunting your home automation system, right? And how you can definitely appreciate why somebody would finally get snap and just start like messing with people's minds and are you really the asshole or not? And it is this fine line. And technology, we are now in the time of Uranus into Gemini, which is all about communication and in technology. So I'm sure these stories are going to get more and more insane the further we go on this next 7 years. And I know you're smiling at the word Uranus. Uranus.
Uranus. 3 ways to
Uranus.
say every word. 3 ways to say every word. Uh,
Um, on
I mean,
that,
I just
thank you.
I I just deal with technology 7 days a week, so there's gonna be really good stories because I know how creepy this stuff can be and how people can implement stuff, and you're just like, "Wow," when I'm troubleshooting and I'm like, "Wait a minute," and I'm reverse engineering something, I'm like, "That something else is awry. There's some piece of information I'm missing because somebody's holding that piece of information that you're missing, and you're like, "Why are they withholding that information?"
So, it's interesting you say that because often when you've told me things and then find out what the missing piece of information is the reason they're withholding it is they don't even think it's valuable.
N
They don't think
Or they don't want to get in trouble,
true. It's either that they
right?
either don't think it's
So,
got value or
they
they
c
think it's gonna get them in trouble.
exactly, and some places, like yeah, it's just yeah, but you gotta do some detect and all 3 of these stories gotta do a little bit of detective work saying, "Wait a minute, this makes sense, the texting with the AIs, 100% possible," but it's like and we're probably gonna get there. It's probably happened, it just wasn't true
A
in this.
story. It just wasn't a story
It
in I
wasn't true.
Am the
It's
Asshole.
probably true. It just wasn't true in this series of events.
Exactly, exactly. So on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you enjoyed and, found this interesting. We will be back next week, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night, and don't forget to come and join us on Saturday morning to join us with our YouTube University to help get you seen. So we'll see everybody next week. Have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.